Sports. This is a podcast for my brother and I. I'm Nick, my brother's Mike, and we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of Michigan sports and a little bit about our lives in the Mitten State. How we doing today, Mike?
We're doing is a rough week so
Yeah, it was. It
for
was.
Detroit baseball as a whole.
Yes, it was. It
Man,
was. That brings us to our first point here, talking about where all Tigers and their minor league teams stand. Um, Right now, the Tigers are in fourth place, 4.5 games back out of first at 26 and 35, and currently losing 5-0. Last I saw, they went 0-6 this week, really bad week.
yep.
Um, Toledo, they're in last place. They're 10 games out of first, and they're 25 and 35. They went 1-5 this week. Erie is 29 and 26. They're in second place. They're one game out of first now, and they went 2-4. They had the best week out of all the Tigers teams. And then West Michigan Whitecaps went 1-5 this week, which puts them at 29 and 26 now. They're in second place, but 9 back out of first.
Yeah, that was it. Just wasn't good.
It's
Was not a good week.
no
Besides, really, Erie's offense is the only thing that was good for any of those teams this week.
right.
Um, I mean, that's really been the only really good thing about Detroit, about the Tigers baseball system in the past like 2 weeks now. Um, Really, I thought the Tigers, I mean, they were getting no hit through what, 5 innings in each of their games against the Phillies.
Yeah, pretty
Um,
much.
I just kept waiting for one of their pitchers to throw a no hitter against us. I mean, I messaged you when I was watching the game the other day, and um, one of the games where there being no hit, Craig Monroe was just you could hear it in his voice. He was kind of getting mad a little bit. He was still being professional, but you could tell he was getting
Right, yeah, irritated.
irritated that I mean they couldn't hit the basic fastball, and I mean that's one thing I noticed is I mean they just I don't know. It's like Green got hurt and they lost the ability to hit a fastball, and
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, which that's also a good reminder. A lot of times we don't think of, our media people as being like fans of the team that they're commentators for.
hmm
But like that, Craig Monroe, he played with them. He used to be a player. He loves Tigers. Obviously, he works for Valley Sports announcing the Tigers, so he wants to see him win just as bad as we do. He's a fan of the Tigers
right.
too, and I think a lot of times I mean, that's stuff we forget about, and so
Yep.
like that, it's hard for him to be on TV and be like, "Oh, these stupid guys, they can't hit a fastball to save their lives."
Yeah.
He's got to
Yeah.
try to maintain, composure and all right, guys, you got to start hitting fastballs.
That's why it's always interesting to me to listen to him and like Dan Petrie when they're talking because they've both been there, so like
Right.
they have experience and they're
And
talking
been
from
on bad
experience.
teams.
Yeah, and you listen to them talk, and as they're watching the team, it's just like, I mean, really, I guess the only bright spot for Detroit, for the Tigers themselves this week, has just been the return of Carpenter. Um,
Yeah, and that's only been these last two games.
yeah,
So,
and I mean, he's been hitting. I mean, he had what, 3 hits today and two yesterday.
yeah,
No home runs, and I think just one or
which I
two
think some of
doubles.
that's going to come.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he doubled today. He didn't double yesterday.
Okay, so just the one extra base hit, but I mean, compared to what he was doing in his rehab assignment, it's good to see him getting these hits at the major league
Right,
level.
yeah.
So, um,
Kind of going back to the Tigers' struggles with hitting the fastball.
hmm,
Um, I was listening to, I can't remember which game it was because they all start to blend together when you're getting no hit all the time.
yeah,
Um, but I think Dan Dickerson was talking with Andy Dirks. He was
hmm,
on there doing the broadcast with him, and he was talking about how you look at the best teams in baseball. He said, yeah, they can draw a walk because the Tigers were drawing a lot of walks at that time. He said, but, and I can't remember who was batting. It may have been Badu. Um, he's like, there's at least two pitches in his at bat. It was like a full count walk for Badu. He's like, there was at least two pitches in that at bat that he should have been able to do damage on, but he didn't swing. But he ended up drawing a walk. He's like, you can walk all you want, but if you're like that, they can't hit a fastball. Well, that's because they're almost being too patient. You get a good pitch to hit,
Right.
you hit it. It's not just, well, I'm just going to stay in here and try to work a walk out of this. Well, you're up there to get a hit. You go to like kids, like younger kids softball games. I've gone to a few. A friend of mine has kids and go to some of their games, and a lot of times, most of the time, it's just walks and then
Yeah.
wild pitches, and they're just running. Like that's all they go up there for is, oh, I walked. Good, I walked. It's like, well, if you hit the ball into the outfield, well, now you don't just move up one base. It's you hit the ball into the outfield or you get a hit somewhere. Well, now you could potentially move from first to third. Instead, you got the Tigers up there like, oh, I'll take my full count walk, make them throw a lot of pitches, which yeah, that's good.
Right.
You want to work the counts, especially if you're not getting good pitches to hit. But if you're getting good pitches to hit, you got to hit the ball. You can't just stand there and I can't tell you how many times I watched a first pitch fastball that just got grooved right down the middle. I mean,
Mm,
perfect pitch to hit, first pitch,
yep.
and it was like two games in a row against the Phillies, and I'm sure they've been doing it in these last couple games, but like they're just standing there, like they have no intention of swinging the bat, and then they get to like the second or third time through the lineup, and now they're swinging at the first pitch, but the first pitch is a breaking ball that's out of the zone or
Yeah.
a fastball up, and
Yep.
it's like, well, you should have been swinging earlier when you're getting right down the heart of the plate, getting a fastball that you could
Right.
crank out of the park or hit a single or double, like whatever. But that's what Andy Dirks is driving at is, walks are good. You want to get guys on base, but if your whole intention is up there is to, I want to try to work a walk, well, the Tigers have been taking a lot of called third strikes that they don't like. But it's like, well, there's two pitches earlier you could have swung at that were
Yep.
right down the middle, but you didn't.
I've seen that, and the other one that's almost even more concerning is them getting those good pitches. Like one of the ones I noticed was like a couple times I think with Torkelson where he'd be grooved a good pitch to hit, like a really good pitch to hit, and he's just fouling it off. And
Yeah.
like they're struggling so much lately to barrel up balls that are like right in like they're cookies, it's right
Yeah.
there, and they can't barrel it up, and that goes to show why their home run numbers are so low. Like they are not hitting home runs. I would imagine they're probably down near the bottom of the league in team home runs hit. Like they just do not hit home runs. And when you're not with the state of the MLB now, it's kind of like the same way as if you're an NBA team and you weren't making 3 pointers and you weren't adept at consistently hitting 3 pointers.
Right.
Yeah, you might score, but you're not going to win games. That's what wins games right now. And they might have a good pitcher out there. The Tigers might, like Reese Olson pitched good. Um, their bullpen did pretty good, other than Lang struggling. Um, but I mean, when you can't hit a home run, I mean, it's sad that the two highest home run hitters on the team both had batting averages like under 180. Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing? Like, and even then, their home run numbers aren't anything great. So it's not like they're batting 170, but they each got 12, 15 home runs at this point. Um, like that brings up the thing you were talking about, like who will lead the team in home runs. it's
Yeah.
is
Well,
an
not only
interesting.
that, but my question at the time was, who's going to be the first one to 10, which the obvious answer would be Rogers, but it seems like he gets them so infrequently now. I
My
mean,
my
looking at
bet.
his stats right now, he's got 18 hits and 105 at bats, four doubles, eight home runs. Well, if the only hit you're going to get is a home run, well, you're not going to hit a home run every
Yep.
two at bats. So, well, I mean, I guess he did last night, but
Right.
um, but if you don't have no one on this team is that consistent where it's like, okay, this guy's going to be at 10 home runs, next week. Well, at this rate, the first player to 10 home runs will be Rogers, and it'll be next month.
hmm My
But
current bet would be the first one to 10 would be Carpenter. I just think that I don't know. I
Okay.
think he'll get there. I think he's our best bet for solid, consistent power on the team.
Right.
Um, if he can, he also needs someone batting behind him, to kind of force pitchers to throw to him. Like if
Right.
their
Yeah.
offense continues to be this bad, there's no real reason to like give him anything good to
Pitch to
hit,
anybody.
right?
Yeah.
So, but he's my pick for the first 1 to 10. As far as leading the team at the end of the year, uh, I would love to see Torkelson because he puts the bat on the ball a lot of times and he does make very hard contact. I'd love to
Yeah.
see him kind of put stuff together. Um, but I don't know. I guess I'll pick. That's so tough.
I think for me, I think for the first to 10, I think it's going to take a lot for anybody to beat Rogers to 10. I mean, he does hit so infrequently, but he does have like a weak stretch where he could hit two. So he hit two last night. Maybe he'll hit one next week and one the following week. Well, Carpenter's going to have to hit six in the next, 2 weeks or something to catch him.
Yeah,
So in my mind, I think Rogers will be the first to 10. Um, and honestly, I don't know if I wouldn't be surprised at all if he didn't lead the team in home runs by the end of the year, just at how it's going. But
yeah,
I think I would probably lean more towards Carpenter or Torkelson
to lead the
um,
team.
to lead the team eventually.
I mean, if Green comes, Green's a big question mark too, because if he comes back healthy, and I mean, I'm not imagining him picking up right up at the pace he was at, you know. But
Right.
if he can gain some semblance of traction and come back and bat well, I can almost see him leading the team. Just because I mean, he's going to get consistent at bats. He's going to get more
Yeah.
consistent at bats than Rogers or probably Carpenter, unless Carpenter keeps hitting well. Then um, that's kind of where Miggy becomes an issue because
Yeah.
if he's going to take any at bats away from like Carpenter or guys that should be playing regularly, um, I don't. That's what'll make me mad. I yeah,
Right.
the whole Miggy situation is another topic all on its own. What they should do with him? Should they try to force him to take an early retirement? Like, what do we do? You know?
I think right now they're stuck. I don't know as they would really force him to take an early retirement. I
Yeah,
mean, I guess they could kind of strong arm him into it, but I don't see him doing that. This is his farewell tour year, quote unquote.
yeah.
And all these other ballparks when they go there that it's his last time playing. Well, they do a whole big thing before the game for Cabrera, give him something, and so I don't I have a hard time seeing him forcing him into retirement. But
Yeah.
that's I mean, I've been saying this about Cabrera for the last 2 years. Is the dude just needs to retire, which finally he
Mhm.
is. I
Yeah.
love Miggy, but I mean, hitting 202 with 5 doubles. That's what Miguel Cabrera is boiled down to now.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it's sad. I don't see that's one thing that gets me is how Albert Pujols can, you know, he didn't necessarily decline gracefully, but he's putting up a lot better numbers than Cabrera did
Well,
as
as
as he is.
someone, I was reading on Twitter, some people were talking about, the Tigers and the Miggy situation, and one of the things I saw someone brought up is really the team shouldn't feel any desire to. It was kind of, brutal, but at the same time, it's like, they shouldn't feel any need to back him up when he showed up for the season completely overweight, out of shape, not ready for baseball. I mean, you look at
Right.
him and he's probably, I mean, he's easily the worst shape he's ever been. Um, and I mean, it's true. I kind of watch him out there. It's fun to have Miggy out there, and he looks like he's having fun. But I mean, we might be losing, 4 or 5 to nothing, and he's out there just kind of, laughing and stuff. And I'm like,
Right.
he
A
just looks
guy
like
gets a double and he's, doing his little celebration in the dugout. It's like
yeah,
we're getting shut out in the eighth inning. Come on.
like we're paying him, $30+ million to basically just be a glorified mascot for the team at this point.
Right.
And I mean, I love Miggy. He was my favorite player for many of the years, and I mean, it's sad to see him at the state he is, and I want him to have a good goodbye tour, but like the difference between him and Pujols was Pujols' goodbye tour. I mean, he
He
played
went
like
from
it was
what,
his last.
Dodgers to Cardinals
Yeah,
for one.
he played like it was his last game, ever
Yeah.
playing every single game. I mean, he crushed the ball his last year.
Which I think too the approaches that Pujols and Cabrera take are different. Because Pujols had more of a home run swing, whereas Cabrera has always been more of the line drive, opposite field, right
Mhm.
center field type hitter. Which I mean, he got his home runs when he was younger,
Right.
but now because that's his approach and always has been, just line drives. Well, that's always going to hit. Like we saw that one ball that he hit off the center field wall,
Yeah.
like that was, you know, that would have normally been a home run when he was younger. If he
Yeah.
had really gotten a hold of that. Even some of these other ones that he's fouling off or swinging through, that, oh wow, Cabrera would have, crushed that, 10 years ago, or
Mhm.
even 6 years ago, he would have hit a home run off of that. But now, just because, like you said, he's out of shape, he's kind of more in it just for the fun of it, it seems like. And
That's
this is my last
yeah.
year. It's just going to be a party year. And
That's my biggest grief with him right now is he just does not seem like he's someone that wants to win. Like he has doesn't seem he has any desire to help that team compete. Like he's just out there to have fun.
right,
And I'm like, yeah, having fun is good. You need a guy like that on the team that keep things light, to keep things going.
right,
But you also, if he's going to be like that, he's also got to contribute. And Cabrera's not
yeah.
contributing. I mean, he's of zero
I
help to
mean,
the team.
he has been better the last, what, three
Right.
games he's played in, but
I mean,
still,
it's not. It's a piddly single here or there. Like, I mean, he might hit a double or he might drive in one run or something, but I mean, he's
yeah.
just not.
His slugging percentage is 253.
Yeah. I mean,
I
it's
mean, granted,
it's
it's higher than Scopes, but
right. Yeah, I mean, he's another one that needs to be DFA'd. But
yeah,
yeah, that. I mean, you look at those two guys, and that's almost between the two of them, almost like $40 million they paid them this year.
yeah,
And I mean, you can even throw Baez. Baez has been better this year, but he's still not great. He's not what we're paying for. His
right,
defense is the best part of his game. Um, and I mean, you could throw a slider 5 feet out of the zone, and he's going to swing at it. So I mean, I just,
right. He was
oh,
look for he had a stretch of 2 or 3 weeks there where, man, he looked so much better, and now
mm-hmm,
it's just starting to revert back into that swing at anything.
yep.
If, Even if it's in the left-handed batter's box, swing at it, because you can hit that.
It's
Although
so
you really can't.
shocking to me how much worse this team is as soon as Carpenter was gone, or not Carpenter, Green. As soon as
Green.
Green got hurt, it's just like they lost any will or desire to be competitive. Um,
I know.
I mean, it's been tough to watch. There's not really any bright spots. I mean, it's just other than the only one I that really makes me want to tune in and watch would be like Reese Olson and what he's been doing. But
Yeah,
offensively, it's it's been ugly.
yeah.
But
Zach Short's been one of our better ones this last.
yeah,
Zach Short,
yeah,
Matan, the last few games he's been better.
it was good to see Matan do good against the Phillies. His old team, and yeah.
Yeah.
But
Even Torkelson, really, I don't know. I've liked how much better he looks this year as compared to last year. Like we
Agreed.
said, he's hitting more line drives. His swing looks better. I have seen a swing or two here or there where I'm like, what in the world are you doing? Like, why did you
Yeah.
take that swing? But he has looked better. It looks like his pitch selection is better, but like you said, man, he gets a fastball like up and in that's in the strike zone that a good hitter once he's developed. I mean, these are home runs. Like
Mm-hmm.
I saw in a couple of these games watching them, the first pitch was either breaking ball or fastball, but it was always down and away, ball one. And this was 2 games in a row, like every at bat, breaking ball, down and away, ball one. Next pitch was a fastball up and in. Every single one he swung at, every single one he fouled off.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't square up a single one. I'm like, these are like 6 plate appearances that I watched where it's ball one down and away. Next pitch is a fastball up and in. Like he should be turning on these and hammering them, if not for home runs, doubles. But he's
Yeah.
just not. He's not getting on top. He's not hitting it.
No.
He's just fouling it off. And I think, like you had said, that a lot of these guys, you see him swing. It's like, boy, it's like a guy for the other team. He took a much worse swing at a much worse pitch and he hit a home run off it, or he
Yeah.
got a single, and we're just missing this stuff. So I don't know what needs to change. Obviously more work in the batting cages, but I don't know. And
Yeah.
then the the night when Kimbrel closed out the 1-0 game there, Badu's a bat just made me sick
Mm-hmm.
watching that. His 3 pitch strikeout, did you see it?
Yeah.
3 fastballs, 97 miles an hour, none of them close to being strikes,
And
all
he
up above
just,
the
yep.
strike zone, swung at every single one. Which I mean, I remember when I played in high school, like that high fastball was like, oh man, like if I could hit that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it always tempted me, and I every once in a while I'd swing at it. But man,
I mean,
3 in a row, you see the ball coming in the same way, all 3 pitches, and you still think you can hit it even though you haven't yet.
yeah.
That just made me sick to watch.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Badu, all the
Yeah.
injuries they got going on. So I'm gonna do a quick run through here of just kind of a quick status of some of the injuries and some of the statuses that have changed. So yeah, Badu is on the 10-day with a right quad injury now. Um, Sounded like he hurt it when he was running to first on a play.
Yeah, I saw the
Um,
play.
yeah, he kind of threw his helmet, and one of the coaches was saying that they thought he was just mad because he got out, but no,
You
he
could
was
see on the
hurting.
broadcast when they showed the replay later, you could see him like reach down at his leg quick
Mm.
as he was running to first.
So hopefully that's not. Hopefully it's just they said it's a strained right quad. Hopefully that won't be anything too lengthy because I mean he's been one of our somewhat better hitters. Um,
Defensively, he's a hard one to lose.
hmm um,
Too.
Brisky, he's rehabbing. It sounds like he's getting real close to kind of being back in action, so that's good to hear.
I heard he actually I saw he just made his first rehab start for I think
Mm,
West Michigan the other night.
good,
He pitched 1 inning, I think.
good.
He did pretty good. I think he struck out 2 maybe,
Yeah,
possibly.
we
But
need
yeah.
pitching as soon as we can.
Yeah,
Um,
plus I heard Manning I think is going to be starting rehab right around the corner too. So,
yeah, he was throwing a bullpen session. They said that he was like he had touched like 98 in his bullpen session he was
oh, that's
throwing,
good.
and he was averaging I think 95 on the fastball. And I'm like, dang, that's obviously that's a bullpen session. So I mean, he's probably just going out there to work himself a little bit and try to throw hard and kind of see where things are at. But I mean, that's a good
Right, yeah.
sign. That's a good sign. We need if he could get back to some of that velocity he used to have, build some of that arm strength up. I mean, that could be good for him. Um, Scooble made 2 good starts, short outings, but I mean he was solid, and
Right.
it's good to see him back at it.
That's what I was after his first rehab start. He threw 2 innings, but it only took him 12 pitches to get through.
Yeah,
uh, I was thinking about that. I'm like, how hard is that as a, the Whitecaps manager? Like, well, what do we do? They said 2 innings or, 30 pitches, or, like, I don't know what they told them, but like 2 innings or 30 pitches.
Yeah,
And you get through that second inning at 12 pitches, like, well, guys, what do I do? He's only throwing 12 pitches.
yeah. I mean, he's basically thrown, what would be a very low mileage inning. He's thrown it in
Right.
two,
Yeah.
So yeah, good to see him throwing again. We need, like I say, we need pitching. We need guys healthy again. Mize, he's been throwing 4 times a week. Um, not back to any kind of starts yet, but it's good to hear that he's been throwing. Um, I saw they said Veerling could be back as soon as this weekend.
Hmm.
Um,
He played at Toledo last night.
oh, he
He went
did?
one for
Good.
three with an RBI, I believe.
Yeah,
So,
we need any kind of hitting. They're
yep,
bringing up that Nick Solak that they just got from the Braves off waivers. He's kind of
yep,
like a McKinstry as far as being versatile. Um,
yep.
and so he got called up with the Badu injury. And then Carpenter's also back. And like we said, he's got 5 hits in his first 2 games back with the Tigers, so that's solid. Um, I heard sounded like everything for Eduardo was on track. Everything kind of looked normal. Um, was the little snippet I heard about him. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we
Faedo, I think I heard he had a procedure on his finger.
yeah we need
Um,
these. Yeah, they took off part of I think his pointer fingernail or middle fingernail. I think they
something
had
like
to.
that.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, mostly we need some of our big hitters back. Like we need Green back. It's good to have Carpenter back. And Veerling coming back would be a big boost. I don't know what the status is with Meadows. I don't know if he's going to be back at all this year. I don't know what that looks like. Um, but I mean, if we can get those guys back and then get, Scooble, Brisky, Mize, well, Mize will be. I don't want them to rush him because he's the farthest away from coming back. But Scooble and Brisky and Manning, getting those back would be huge.
Yeah.
Then we could kind of do something with Wentz, kind of let him go back down to AAA or whatever.
Even
Work.
Brisky. Did you say Brisky?
Yeah.
Okay.
I meant, with Wentz, if we get those guys back healthy, we could
Yeah.
send Wentz down, let him figure out
No,
what's
yeah.
kind of going on. Um,
I had got a little distracted. I was looking up what the injury updates were on the at-bat app there, and
okay.
I was looking at the Brisky one, and when you're talking about guys coming back, I'm like, wait, did he say Brisky coming back? I'm like, because if Brisky comes back, then they could send Wentz down. You start getting
Yeah.
more, like
Yep.
you're saying, you get Manning and Screwball and Brisky, all three back. Well, now you can do something like you said with
Yep.
Wentz.
You can
So
kind of
yeah,
even like
sorry, I just got distracted.
no, and I'm not really worried about I mean like their bullpen's been solid. Lang's had a couple bad outings and
Oh,
it'll be
yeah.
concerning if it continues. It could have just been a couple off days. Like he couldn't throw any strikes against the Phillies. I did not see the White Sox outing, but
Oh, it was
I'm
bad.
glad I didn't see that. Was it the same
Yeah,
way? Was it just he just could
it
not?
was even it was even worse. I'm looking on Baseball Reference here, and his game against the White Sox, he threw 23 pitches, 10 for strikes,
Mm,
third of an inning, 4 runs, 4 earned. And then the game against the Phillies, 22 pitches, 11 strikes,
yeah.
2/3 of an inning, 2 runs, 2 earned.
He just he threw his curveball and it got hit hard against the Phillies. And then after that, like he just started throwing fastballs, and his fastball he was not putting in the zone, and he kind of needed to really go back to that curveball. Like it's his best pitch. And granted, you got hit on one of them, but I mean, you need to be able to trust your best pitch, and if you can't, I mean, obviously you don't have your stuff that night, and he did not have his stuff these last 2 nights. But
No.
um, I'm still like, I mean, his curveball's nasty. He's got some heat on his fastball. If he can just, if his placement can be a little bit better, I'm not super concerned about him. But minor league wise, I'll let you kind of take over. Who were some of the minor league players of the week? Uh,
Yeah, minor league players of the week. Well, I mean, we kind of went with Scooball as our pitcher of the week.
mhm.
Um, Based on the records from this last week, nobody really did very good.
No.
But Scooball, we kind of went with. He pitched really well. I mean, his first rehab start, like we said, he, I mean, 2 innings, 12 pitches. I think he only gave up one hit. Um, and then this last one that he pitched 3 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, unearned, struck out 6. So
Yeah,
that's
that's a good sign.
yeah, that's a very good sign. And then as far as hitters, we went with Andrew Navigato. He had a monster week, um, which actually, you know what? We were looking through from Sunday through Saturday, or Sunday through yesterday, and really we should have looked at last Saturday because
Oh yeah, that
they
would
hadn't
be.
played yet. Um, which makes it even better because he had a 2-for-4 game that that
Yeah.
Saturday. But so from June 3rd to yesterday, he went 10 for 26 with 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 2 walks, stole a base, batted 385, 429 on base, 808 slugging, 1236 OPS. He had a really good week. And I think Jace Jung with the Whitecaps, he had a really good week as well too.
It's
Um,
funny because both those guys were in the running last week for batter of the week, and
yeah,
we gave it to, or I gave it to Colt Keith. My bias came through. Um, but he, I mean, Colt Keith was also in the running for this week. I mean, he also had a really good week. 8 for
right.
22, and um, but yeah, I mean, those are three guys that have been fairly consistent with the bat. I think once this first half is done, we'll see a big shakeup in some of these minor leaguers. Um,
Right.
you, I mean, I think it's all beyond the shadow of a doubt. Keith is probably going to come up to AAA. Um, really, the only reason he's been in Erie this long is because they're only
Malloy.
one game back.
Oh,
Um, and then I could see Young being called up to AA. Um, just kind of seeing what he has too. But yeah,
yeah.
that that's
I, I'm looking at Jung's week, Young. However, I don't know how you say it.
I
I
think it's
believe I've heard
Young. I've
people
heard
say
him.
it both Young.
Yeah, because isn't he
Okay.
related to the guy on the Rangers?
Josh. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
they
it's
were
Young.
calling him
Okay.
Josh Young. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I looked up Jace Young's stats here from the last week, and he went 11 for 27 with 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, a walk, 407 on or 407 batting average, 429 on base, 704 slugging, and 1132 OPS.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is a solid
that's
week.
it is. Let's go look up Colt Keith's here too, real quick,
Oh yeah,
just so
counting
we
Saturday. Yeah.
yeah, counting Saturday. Um, just so we actually have some good batting stats that we can talk about,
Yeah,
and not just
something,
looking at the Tigers.
there's a couple times this past while you're looking that up, a couple times this past week, I'm just like, oh, I saw that the Tigers game was starting, but then I saw that like Toledo and Erie's games are starting. I'm like, which one do I actually want to watch?
Yeah, if Colt Keith's in the lineup, I think I'd almost want to watch Erie right now.
Yeah, him and Trey
um,
Cruz and some of those other guys in Double A are just offensively, they're solid.
Navigato, he's at AA too. He's mashing right now. Well,
Yeah,
that's what last week when I looked up his stats and we were talking about players of the week. I mean, he was like 11 for 23 or something like that, I think.
yeah,
And then this week he has another big week. But Colt Keith this last week, including Saturday, he went 9 for 25. He scored 6 runs, but 4 doubles, a home run, 1 RBI, 4 walks, a stolen base, 360 average, 448 on base, 640 slugging, and a 1088
Yeah.
OPS. And he had a 400 batting average on balls in play. Just throwing
Yeah.
that in
I
there too.
mean, that's that stat, um, BABIP. Um, I've been looking at that one more, and then like fielding independent pitching, and
Oh yeah,
along with like OPS for hitters, and like that's such a better tell. Now that like I've been watching the Tigers most of the games this year, probably 80 to 90% of their games I've watched. And then if you go look at their stats on like Baseball Reference and you look at, batting average on balls in play, you look at their OPS and you're like, "Oh yeah, this makes sense. When I'm watching the game, this is the guy that seems to me to be doing good, to be hitting the ball well.
yeah,
Um like that is I was looking at because they're talking about that guy with the Marlins who's batting
Arise.
400. Yeah, they were comparing him to some of the other guys that have like Ted Williams when he batted 400 that year, and everyone that's kind of came close since. And he's got the highest BABIP out of any of those guys um, at this point in the season.
Right.
And it's an interesting stat. It kind of shows, if a guy's got a high average but his, batting average on those balls in play is low, you're like, oh, like you can kind of see, it's a good way to see what things look like.
Yeah.
But that's all I got. Like I say,
Yeah.
it's
I'm debating whether I want to get on my uh my tirade that I had the other day about the new pitch clock or not. Um
yeah. We can.
cuz that's what
Well, you
well, a
saw.
couple
Did you see that article about the Phillies players were complaining about their
yeah, about the pitch
home
clock
field pitch
being
clock
too
being fast?
fast.
Yeah, that would explain why everyone was having so many
A
issues in
rough
that
deal with it.
series.
Yeah.
Um, other than that series and kind of how weird things seem to be there, I've liked it. It's helped to increase the pace of the game. I don't. I like that it kind of forces the players to like it used to annoy me to no end to watch, a guy take one swing, or not even swing. Like he'd sit there with a bat on his shoulder, then he'd step out, readjust his gloves, readjust all of his gear, you know, get more pine tar on his gloves, regrip the bat, step back in, do his whole routine, and you're like, you stood there and watched a ball 5 feet out of the zone. You didn't even like, check your swing.
Right.
Like the bat never left
Yeah.
your shoulder. Like really, those gloves have not changed in the last, 15 seconds. And so I've
No.
loved to see that. I love to see the pace of the pitchers increased. I think it's helped some. I think it's hurt a lot. Um, but I think after this year, everyone will kind of be adjusted to it. And I don't know. I do like the shorter games. Um, to me, it feels more like when I'm watching the game. It feels more like when I would like watch old footage of old games, like just the pace
Right.
of play reminds me of that. The pitcher's got the ball, he's already back pitching again. Um, it just reminds me of that older feel of what the games used to be like. And
Right.
I know you don't care for it so much. You like the
Yeah,
games
yeah,
being shorter, but
that's what I was telling you the other day. Like I like how quick the games go, especially if you're watching it on TV. There's not 10 minutes of commercials in between, the top of the first and the top of the second. Like, well, now they like cutting off commercials in the middle of the commercial because well they got to get back because they're going. I like that. I like that games are shorter, but like I was telling you, watching that game against Aaron Nola just it made me so mad. I stopped watching after the second one. But Haas got up there to bat the first one with a, I think 0-2 count on him, and he steps in at 8 seconds, looks up at 7, and they call him for a pitch timer violation. I'm like, I guess if you're gonna go right to that split second, like, well, he wasn't looking up directly at the pitcher yet. His eyes were still moving up. Oh, that's a pitch timer violation. That's strike three. Well, how does he know the pitcher wouldn't have ended up walking him? How does he know the next pitch wouldn't have been a hanging breaking ball that Haas would have hit a home run? Well, now he's getting stuck with a strikeout that the pitcher doesn't even deserve on his record. Take two strikeouts off of Nola's record because he didn't deserve it. It's just some stupid rule that Major League Baseball came up with. And even then, the last at bat, Ibanez, that's the one that made me the most mad because he's standing in there, 1 foot in the box, 1 foot out, which granted, that's his fault. He should have been in there. But he's standing there looking at the pitcher, watching the pitcher, waiting for him to climb up on the mound. And Nola's at the back of the mound, standing there rubbing the ball with the glove under his hand, and the clock's ticking down. It got down to 6 seconds, and Ibanez stepped in, and then the umpire waves it off. Like, what? Like, he's waiting for the pitcher. The pitcher's not even on there. Like, so what I want to know is if Ibanez had just stayed there with 1 foot out of the box watching the pitcher, because the umpire didn't do anything at 8 seconds. Once it hit 7, he should be like, okay, well, that's a pitch timer violation. You weren't in the box. Why he let it go so long? But if it had went all the way down to 0, would he have? And the pitcher hadn't started his delivery, because Nola still wasn't even on the rubber. Would Nola have been called for a ball, or would Ibanez have been called for a strike? Because Ibanez wasn't technically in the batter's box, but the pitcher's not even close to ready to throw a pitch. Like, to me, it just seems like they just rushed this thing. Like, hey, we don't we're trying to make the games shorter, so we're just going to institute this right now.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, they didn't.
see.
Like, they've been working at the minor league levels, but most of these guys haven't been playing at the minor league levels
Right.
to know what it's like working with a pitch clock. Now all of a sudden it's here. We're going to give you a pitch clock, and now you have to figure out how to deal with it. And to me, it's hurting the game because now you get stupid stuff like this where you get an automatic called third strike because Haas stepped in and looked up at 7 seconds. Like, well, why can't the umpire be like, well, I mean, he was in the box and he was just looking up right as it flipped over to 7. Instead, it's a hard 8 seconds. If you're not looking at 8 and it just ticks down to 7, that split second, you're too late. Sorry, it's strike 3. It's not like he's standing there outside the box and it's down to like 5 and oh, I guess I'll get into the box now. It was he got in at 8 seconds and looked up, boom, 7. Oh, well, now it's a pitch timer violation. Like, that's
See,
just, to me, that's just insane.
so I get what you're saying, about the I feel like the umpires do need to have like a little bit of like understanding about it, like not call it like right on the millisecond, but like, if it's 6, 7 seconds and the guy, hasn't addressed the pitcher yet, then all right, fine, yeah, call it. But so I liked what Nola was doing. Like, I mean, I didn't like that it was happening to the Tigers, but I like what he was doing. He was playing a mental game basically, and like I mean, he was pitching out of his mind, and to me, it seems pretty straightforward. So, the batter has to be in there, even if the pitcher's on the mound or not. He has to be in there at the 8 second mark.
Right. Yep.
That's on him. And then the pitcher has to deliver before that clock is done. But so like the understanding is no, it's not like you have to be in the box by 8 seconds only if the pitcher's on. No, you have to be in the box by 8 seconds. No matter what the pitcher's doing, you're still playing the game. It's not on you.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
as a
Like I
batter,
said,
you
that's
would
on
want
Ibanez
you
in
would
that
want the
instance because
pitcher
he
to
should have
take
been
too
in there.
long. You would want him to take too long. You'd want to get that extra ball in the count. So like to me,
Right.
if I'm the batter, I'm like, yeah, I'll be in there by 8 seconds. I'll make the pitcher, do his job. I don't care if he's standing way back. I don't care if he's all the way out at second base. Whatever. He's doing his thing. But I'm gonna do what mine is unless I hear differently from the umpire. And that's why, like, I didn't really have a lot of sympathy for either Haas or Ibanez because Haas was talking to the umpire about I think the previous call, which
Yeah.
I saw happen in one of the other Tigers games to the opposing team. And I'm just like, all right, you know what the rule is. It's a big rule change, right? You've been made aware of it by coaches. You've been following it up until this point. You might not have liked the last call. It might have not have been a good call. but you're also going to get another strike in the count if you're not in there when you need to be. And so
Right.
that's why I didn't have any sympathy when he got called strike, even though, the umpire was quick, which I'll agree. That's on the umpire. Like, yeah, all right. That's a little like it just barely finished that 8 second and then he's already calling it.
Which, like you said, he was just arguing the previous call, and now the umpire is real quick to call strike three on him on a pitch timer
Right.
violation.
So the umpire probably didn't appreciate him arguing. And so the umpire's like, I'm not going to give any leeway. Which, I mean, you see in other forms, like if the umpire's not happy with the guy, sometimes they'll stretch the strike zone a little bit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which, like, I hate, but at the same time, I like. I like the. I don't want the robot ump. I know I hear a lot of people talk about, like, being an automatic strike zone. I don't like that. I like the variables. But I've always been more fascinated with the pitching part of the game than the hitting. And so yeah, like I've always appreciated like, oh, this ump is calling a little, like down and away today. So the pitcher, will kind of counteract and he'll kind of use that to kind of pitch a little down and away or pitch up and in. Um so yeah, I get, I agree with your complaint about the umpire. Like, yeah, I think umpires across the league there should be more of like an understanding of like, all right, like we're not gonna just like jump the gun as soon as that's like just ticked at the end of 8 seconds. If the guy's in the box and he just hasn't looked up yet and he's about to look up, like, all right. But at the same time, like you have to keep if you're gonna have this new rule, you have to keep it true to what the rule is, or else it'll be like, all right, well, this guy just got leeway the other day. He was at 7 seconds and nothing got
Mm-hmm.
called on him. But then, I'm over here and I'm 8.5 and I got called on me. Like. So I think it's good that they, for the most part, a lot of the time seem to kind of keep it fairly strict. But um, yeah, so I didn't have much sympathy for either of those guys the other day. I mean, that's their
So
own dumb fault.
no, yeah,
Like
like
I
I'm
get
not trying to make excuses for them because that is the rule. That's I mean, you have to be in the box addressing the pitcher at 8 seconds. Like
I don't, yeah, like I say, I
that's
don't care if
I
the
mean that's on
pitcher's
them.
not at the
But
mound, like you still have to do your job.
right, yeah. But I want to go back to one thing you said about, when umpires, when they're not particularly happy with a guy and they kind of stretch the strike zone. To me, that's not right. That's
No,
why we need to
no, I
get
don't.
rid of umpires. If if umpires are don't like getting criticized, they shouldn't be umpires for one.
Oh,
Because I mean,
yeah.
you're an umpire. People are going to
You're
criticize your
gonna,
strike zone,
it's the
your
nature of
out
your
or safe
job.
call. Yeah, but like that, just because you don't like what some guy said, he didn't like the straight call that you called on him, and so now you're going to stretch the strike zone. Well, get that garbage out of here. Like,
Right.
just because you don't like what this guy said to you doesn't mean you change the rules to the game. Just like that always annoyed me when we were in high school. You could tell as it got later in the night, we always played double headers. And by like the third or fourth inning of that second game, the strike zone's from like the top of the foot to like your chin. I'm like, just because you're cold and you want to go home doesn't mean you change the rules of the game to fit your fancy. Like, well, I want to get this over with. So, yeah, that's a strike. Or
Yeah.
no, that's a ball outside. But and then like that, like the extra runner in extra innings, that just drives me nuts. It's the same thing with like I had said about, well, now Aaron Nola gets two strikeouts to his record that he never finished the at bat. So to me, he doesn't get those shouldn't be strikeouts.
Mm,
Just like when you put that runner on second base in the 10th inning, he's the last out of the previous inning. So because you failed at your job, well, now we'll go throw you out there at second base. So if you come in to score, well, now you get that added to your stats. Like, oh, I scored a run in the 10th inning. It's like, yeah, well, you just struck out on three horrible pitches in the previous inning. Like,
right.
like that just, I, I don't understand where See, I like the numbers and I like the stats for baseball. And when they start doing stupid stuff like this, like here's two strikeouts for you, pitcher, or here's a free run. You failed at your job the whole game. You could be 0 for 5 with five strikeouts, but because you ended the last inning, Well, now you got the chance to score the go-ahead run. Get if you want to shorten the game, I get it that you don't want these 15, 16, 17 inning games.
Right.
Why is it the very first inning in extra innings you have to add the runner? Why not make it like, okay, you made it through the 10th and 11th and nobody still scored or it's
So by
still
the
tied?
12th inning,
By
yeah.
the 12th inning, okay, well, now put it out there. If that's what they're so desperate to do is to have that extra runner. But why is it got to be first thing? And
No, I agree.
to me it makes the games longer because like well now they played the length of an 11 inning game but it was only 10 innings because both teams scored 3 runs each in the 10th inning. Like I don't I just so annoyed with Major League Baseball. They're trying to like that they made the bases bigger so they make the baseline smaller so now there's going to be more stealing. You limit how many times the pitcher can throw over to first base because they want more stolen bases, they want more action, they want to keep people invested. Which I agree, baseball's been losing fans, I think, over the last few years because, like we were just talking about, pitchers and hitters, they brought this pitch clock on themselves. I'm just saying I hate it.
Yeah.
Um, but they brought this on themselves. The pitcher, which in some circumstances for the pitcher, you want to make sure you're getting this pitch right. You want to like take a deep breath. You want to take a second. Well, now you can't. You have to throw this pitch right now. It's not like a step back, take a deep breath. Okay, I'm ready. But I mean, a lot of times it's just the pitcher gets the ball, walks around the mound like he's taking his dog for a walk, looking up at the stadium, rubbing the ball. It's like, okay, dude, just get up there and pitch. It's like
Right.
first inning. What are you doing? And then hitters, like you're saying, stepping out, undoing their gloves, redoing their gloves, and checking their bat. It's just, but like they brought it on themselves. But anyway, they're trying to increase scoring. They want to increase action in the game, but you can't do that and shorten the game. You can't have, well, like I was saying, you can't have like a 14 to 11 game and have it be an hour and a half, 2 hours because like it doesn't work. You can't have, 8 home runs in a game and 11 walks and still have the game go, hour and a half. You just can't cut it short and have a lot of offense. But I don't know. I'm just annoyed with Major League Baseball and their new rules, especially like that
Yeah, I get that.
when it comes back to bite you. But yeah, so that's my MLB new rules rant for the day. So
Sounds good. But yeah, that's about all I got. So yeah, we could wrap it up there if you want.
yeah, we can wrap it up there. I'm tired of Major League Baseball today, anyways.
But
Tigers are 0 for their last 7.
yeah.
It's
Well,
a great day to be a Michigan sports
it
fan.
is. Everyone, we appreciate you listening and appreciate you stopping by. And yeah, we'd love to have you join us next time. Later.